Hello everyone and welcome back to All Things F1 as we preview the 2022 Canadian Grand Prix. We will review the events from the Azerbaijan Grand Prix last weekend and be catching up on some of the latest paddock gossip and then discussing our predictions for the Canadian Grand Prix coming up. Whilst we cover all of this, we have taken a trip down memory lane with some classic F1 gameplay to keep us entertained, as we do a 5-lap race around Montreal in the 2009 Brawn which powered Jenson Button to the 2009 F1 World title. So without further ado, let's recap some of the events from last weekend in Baku and what contrasting fortunes it was for the two teams that have become favourites for this year's title. A double DNF for Ferrari with 2 mechanical failures and a 1-2 finish for Red Bull, which has started putting some distance between them and Ferrari in the championship standings. So what went wrong for Ferrari after delivering the pace on Saturday to take pole position? Well, for Carlos it was a hydraulic failure which brought him to a stop in the braking zone of turn 4 on lap 9 of the Grand Prix, bringing out the virtual safety car, which led to a number of drivers, including Charles Leclerc, to pit for fresh tyres, having started on the medium compound and subsequently switching to the hard. This, however, was not the case for the Red Bulls, who stayed out on their starting medium tyres, planning to go longer and attempt a one-stop strategy against the last Ferrari standing. However, a rather smoky engine failure for Charles on lap 20 left him coasting back to the pits and denied us the chance to see an intra-team battle for victory. Despite both cars retiring, you have to say, in race pace the Red Bulls looked to have the better package, with the top 3, Perez, Leclerc and Verstappen, dropping signs in the opening laps, and Leclerc struggling to keep pace with Perez after he jumped him off the line. Although perhaps lacking in outright pace, the alternative 2-stop strategy would have been intriguing to see if it kept Leclerc in the hunt for victory, but as things played out, reliability extinguished Ferrari's hopes of a good result. Following a fine victory in Monaco, all the talk was about whether Perez would be able to mount a serious title challenge, having beaten Verstappen on merit around the streets of the Principality, and after another strong showing in qualifying, where he outperformed Verstappen yet again, it seemed that Perez may be in good form and be able to consistently match Verstappen on pace. However, as the race played out and the Red Bulls took their second stop for fresh hard tyres, it was evident that Perez didn't have the legs over a full race distance to take the challenge to Verstappen around Baku. He ultimately finished 20 seconds behind his teammate, and after initially leading the race, never really looked in a position to retake the lead once he lost it. So as things stand, Ferrari are now 80 points behind Red Bull in the constructor standings, and Verstappen extends his lead at the top of the Drivers' Championship with a 21-point lead over Perez, who is a further 13 points ahead of Leclerc, which leaves him over a whole race win's worth of points off the top spot in the standings. Other things of note from the Baku race weekend are that it wasn't just the Works Ferrari team that had reliability issues during the race, with customer teams Alfa Romeo and Haas both losing cars to engine failures in the form of Magnussen and Guan Yu Zhou. This has to be a concern for the Scuderia, with the prospect of future engine penalties looming, likely to also dent their title challenge. And if they can't keep the engines that failed in the pool for the rest of the season, this is going to compound all the points they've already lost from DNFs. Another prominent talking point was the return of rather extreme porpoising to a lot of the cars up and down the grid, most notably Ferrari, Mercedes and AlphaTauri, where pretty much all the teams were suffering to some extent or another. The cars that seem to have it most under control are the Red Bull and Alfa Romeo, but there have been calls to implement change in the regulations to help resolve the issue. Clearly Red Bull are not keen on this, having seemingly got to grip with the issue, with Christian Horner discussing this in the post-race interviews, saying it is something that each individual team should be able to engineer a solution to, just as Red Bull seem to have done. However, the argument from the other teams, with an already tight budget cap, will be that it is harming the health of their drivers, with potential back issues from the vigorous bouncing in what is a packed 22-race calendar. Furthermore, this season is a set of regulations that will be in place until at least likely 2026, so maybe a more permanent solution should be implemented to help improve the show. One of these solutions could be a return to active suspension, which is currently outlawed after its initial development in the 1980s, which could be implemented without a huge expenditure from the teams to alleviate the issue, perhaps in some spec form, but what comes of this we will see in due course. Next, let's cover some of the other rumours brewing in the F1 paddock, not least that there could be a driver change in the making before the season is over. Now, many people have been speculating regarding Daniel Ricciardo's position in McLaren after a run of poor results, which has somewhat been rectified in Baku. However, it seems that the seat up for grabs could be at Williams. Rumours are that after the Canadian Grand Prix, 2021 F2 champion and Alpine reserve driver Oscar Piastri could replace Nicholas Latifi at Williams, where he is being consistently outperformed by his teammate. Latifi would be able to compete in his home race, which has not been on the calendar since 2019 for that reason, and the announcement made before the British Grand Prix. However, it may be that a mid-season switch during the summer break takes place. Either way, it would be a good opportunity for a hot young talent to secure a well-deserved race seat, and we look forward to seeing what he can do in F1. Let us know in the comment section down below if you agree. Finally, we should make some predictions for the up-and-coming Canadian Grand Prix, a track that, as I say, we haven't visited for a few years. Traditionally a track that favours those with good aerodynamic efficiency and low drag, but also requiring good traction out of the lower speed corners. It's hard for us to look beyond Red Bull, who have the edge over the rest of the field when it comes to top speed and a more slippery car, but one of the main strengths of Ferrari have been their traction, giving it the qualifying edge on the recent street tracks of Monaco and Baku. So it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. However, our bet is on Verstappen to edge out the field if it remains dry during the race weekend. As you can see from the gameplay footage, the weather can intervene and has thrown up some exciting races over the years. Many of you may remember the 2011 race, which saw an extended red flag period, making it the longest F1 race in history, at over 4 hours long, but culminated in Jenson Button overtaking Sebastian Vettel on the last lap of the race on a drying track, after Vettel strayed off the dry line, making an uncharacteristic mistake at the time, allowing the then McLaren driver to take victory. If it does decide to rain, then we expect Ferrari to be right in the mix. A driver with an excellent track record around Montreal was Lewis Hamilton, who took his first ever race win here in 2007 in his first season of F1. However, we anticipate it will be a difficult weekend for Mercedes. They were consistently at the bottom of the speed traps in Baku, with a draggy car and an engine that has now been matched in the turbo hybrid era. With no quick fix to their porpoising issues, we expect them to head up the midfield and probably be best of the rest, but not a serious contender for victory in normal conditions. It'll be interesting to see if Hamilton's run of bad luck in the races can be overcome, and we see a close wheel-to-wheel battle between the Mercedes drivers. Although Russell's race pace has been outstanding given the circumstances, and he is providing consistent results above what the car is capable of on merit, we're yet to see many on-track battles between the 7-time world champion and the rising star, so maybe this will be the weekend. Canada is one of my favourite race weekends of the year, and can't look forward to getting back on track in Montreal. Out of the top 3, we predict Verstappen being on pole with a subsequent win, and Leclerc in second place, and Perez in third, but Hamilton pipping Sainz to fourth. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and let us know in the comment section down below your predictions, or simply roast us for getting it wrong. We would hugely appreciate a like or subscribe to help out our new channel. Until next time, see you around.